triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for freedom. Welcome, everyone. This is Battle4Freedom from Battle4Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio. I'm your host, Battle4Freedom, and I'm glad that you are joining me today as we get this day started off the right way. Listen, if you haven't followed Battle4Freedom, my website's Battle4Freedom. I want you to go there. I want you to share me out with as many people as you possibly can. Also, not only that, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to American Pride Roasters Coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio, to start your day off the correct way. Listen, if you're not drinking American Pride Roasters Coffee, there's something wrong with you, and you're not a thankful individual. In this month of being thankful, I'm letting you know, if you're not drinking American Pride Roasters Coffee, there is something wrong with you. And I drink Watson's White Chocolate Mocha. That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times.
Caramel.
Now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters Coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle4Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo 50 Radio, and most important, Battle4Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation. American Pride Roasters. When the world is going to hell in a handbasket, you need rugged, you need strong, you need durable, you need cat coolers. These are the best coolers on the market in 27, 55, and 88 quart. Go to catcoolers.com and give them the code Watson to save 10% on your purchase. Don't settle for those substandard containers that melt, leak, and destroy your memorable moments. Tell them that Watson from Battle4Freedom sent you. Cat Coolers.
Tell them Cat Coolers is what you want, and this is how you will get around the insanity of the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year. As I say, last rites, and if those of you who are coming in late, the image of this is of Constitution of the United States getting its last rites as we sit here in America believing that freedom is on our side and liberty is on our side. This is going to be very interesting as we sit here watching. This is going to be interesting as we sit here watching how crazy things are going to get. And I'm not being doom and gloom. I'm just trying to be real in this. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Raquel, Linda, many of them, Sarah, as well as Carrie. They all decided to go to facebook.com/Mojo50 Radio to leave their message and go from there. So one of the things that's really interesting as we sit here talking about this, last rites. Many people don't think that things are going to get that bad. And I'm trying to understand why is it. I'm trying to understand how is it that they were so doom and gloom about a presidency of Donald Trump, and now people are not going to allow for there to be doom and gloom about a presidency of Joe Biden. I mean, seriously, when you think about this, and in a day of information, of data collection and everything like that, this is one of the ones I thought was really interesting because, again, I've talked about a World War III being an information war, a war on information, and we have been under that. If you look at the way this censorship is taking place, censorship on social media, censorship on Google searches, where you can't find condemning things, or you can't find condemning things about the left, And this is where minds have been altered because of the fact that they don't know the truth because they can't handle the truth and they can't get the truth. So as we sit here watching this whole thing work its way through this craziness, I'm trying to make sense of this where many people are going to forfeit their rights because of the fact that they don't realize that they're willfully forfeiting them. Data collection. This was one that I thought was really interesting on here. It says nearly 7 million Thanksgiving flights 7,000 Thanksgiving flights that will hit as 6.3 million take to the airways. What do they say to the skies? 48 million are choosing that they're going to 48 million choose that they're going to drive, and 350 are going to travel by train to meet for the holiday, despite the CDC's virus warnings. Now, as you look at this and you look at these numbers and everything like that, I mean, that's a lot of people that are going to be traveling, and they're going to be saving this data. Remember, your electronic leash called your phone is going to basically give the geotag. If you haven't disabled geotagging, if you that app that you love running all the time that's supposed to turn off your location of where you are, they don't need to check on you, even though governors may tell you to your neighbors to go and figure out exactly where you are as you're about to sit there and start enjoying the tryptophan today or tomorrow. I mean, some may celebrate early because they have to work tomorrow. As you're trying to do this and be ready for a reason to be thankful. Thanks for joining Lep and Mark and Carolyn. Thank you for being, and Mitchell, thank you for being part of this. Trains, planes, and automobiles. Yes, Curtis. Crazy movie, but how do I feel like this is going to be? It's going to be trains, planes, and automobiles for every American citizen going forth as we look at our last rights. And we start having thankful thoughts because, again, this may be the last time that you will have Thanksgiving not under the threat of a ugly, oppressive regime. You remember when 4 years ago, when Donald Trump was made president, correctly elected as president of the United States of America, and everybody was fearful. Black people were fearful that, oh my goodness, we're going to be put back in we're going to be put back in the slave fields, and we're going to be put back in chains, and white supremacy has taken over. Do you recognize what has happened as a result of this? As many of us rightfully understand, there's no way that Joe Biden got the votes that he did. There's no way that Joe Biden received 79 million votes in this election process. Do you realize what message was sent over the summer? That the people who live in fear were in dead fear this election process. There are a lot of people, maybe they didn't want to vote for Joe Biden. See, because most people think that this election was about Joe Biden. It was about people hating Trump. But how about more people doing this because of the fact that they were fearful of the left's arm of justice, the left's unofficial jack leg boot thugs, or however you put it. But when America sees their cities burned, when America sees criminals, especially in New York, when you have people, so you remember earlier in the year, I had Michelle Eskenazi, the bail bonds queen, and we were sitting here talking about how they had this long list of offenses that people were put back out on the streets for. Stalking. You could stalk somebody and be put back out on the streets. You could see the numbers. You can see the numbers of people who were being killed because of the horrific bail reform plans that were hitting major cities. That was a message that was sent to people. You better comply, or we're going to make this place look like Arkham's Asylum. We're going to make this place look like Gotham, if not worse. So remember, be thankful of the days when the media, when the left, did not go out on a full-blown media assault, because now they don't have to do it anymore. Now they're going to try and put all the people in power to continue to do this. Look at this. We spent 3.5 years trying to impeach a president. 3.5 years to try and impeach a president. So if they're going to aim for a person at the highest level of the office in the land, what do you think they're going to do with the rest of us? I mean, think about this. They're monitoring where we're going. Hey, and if you want to see that it's going to get better, you want to talk about stripping away of our rights. Look at this. New York City's COVID checkpoints are back. Cops will be out in full force at bridges, crossings, and bus stations to question Thanksgiving travelers from out of state. And, as Sheriff Joseph Fucito announced the measures Tuesday alongside Bill de Blasio, sheriff teams will be out in full force at key bridges and crossings, he said. And this is the craziness of where because think about this, checkpoints. Now, I understand checkpoints coming in and out of the country. And even the idea is, what, are they going to scan your head? Or are they going to try and figure out exactly where you're coming from and then quarantine you? I mean, this is exactly, we have made it to the point where America, you can't even travel anymore. See, and right now it's for COVID safety. You think it's for COVID, or is it to minimize the number of people who are traveling for Thanksgiving and making certain that they don't go visit their family members? Or where are you going? Where are you trying to go? I mean, this is going to be worse than going through customs. When you have to ask 50 million questions. I'm grateful for the customs agents who are basically at the airports making sure that legal things are not trying to come in. But man, you get through those interrogations and you feel like you did something wrong just for existing. Here we go. This is going to be worse than you ever could imagine. What are you thankful for? What freedoms are you thankful for? Because a lot of them are about to leave. Have your papers ready. Yes, Curtis. Carrie says she's having 2 people at her house, and her dad asks should they wear a mask. And you know what? I'm just reading these numbers that people are I see people only having like 2 or 3 people who are at their homes. You hear me say it on the radio that people say that they're only having 2 or 3 people at their home. Tim is correct. It's the warm up to communism and checkpoints. Free speech is definitely under attack. It's been under attack for the last month and a half on the censorship of the election results, of the censorship of the election fraud. Yes, I see you said 3, Carrie. I'm just making certain that, just because everybody, right now we're being told that you can't have 10, and soon we're going to be told you can't have 6. And soon you're going to be told that you can't have 5 or 4. It's good to know that the upstate sheriffs are not enforcing Cuomo's orders. Or communist. Well, think about this. I have my wife and my 3 girls, and you know what? I'll be meeting some family members today. Are we told that you can't have this many people together? Because if the numbers are less than 5, you can't have 5 together. Do I have to kick one of my kids outside saying, I'm sorry, honey, you can't be part of this dinner because of the fact that the government says we can only have 4 people at a meal? We accidentally had more than 2 children. So we're going to have to get rid of the others so that they can't be around, so we can actually have a decent family and a thankful moment and thankful time to be grateful for what God has blessed us with. Yeah, you can't leave your house without papers. Yes, that's right. Raquel Lee with Eric, they're part of this program called this show on not Battle4Freedom, on Mojo 5 Radio, called Room 13. Now, the easiest way you can not worry about me bumbling over show names and hosts and things like that, you can go to mojo50.com and basically click the button schedule. And you see all the different hosts that are available to you that you can listen, you can appreciate. Listen, go to mojo50.com and share it out with as many people as you possibly can. You know what, Carolyn? Carolyn says one of the biggest one. Yeah, see, what I'm going to try and do here on this, as I sit here talking about thankful thoughts, I'm going to do the best that I can to catch some of the comments that I think that are really key in where I'm trying to go with this as we sit here thinking about what's going to be available to us on here. Carolyn says the following. She says, I'm thankful that we can still worship in the house of God. This soon will be taken away. Yes. Yes. This soon will be taken away. Our freedoms will be taken away. She's not right. I mean, she's not wrong here. She is absolutely correct. You can't even do it in California right now. And see, and this is the where, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, how are you California Christians still allowing this to happen? How are you California Christians allowing the likes of a Newsom and the New York Christians who allow the likes of a Cuomo to continue being reelected? That not just Cuomo, but de Blasio, where they turn around and they shut you down. Very, very interesting. It's very interesting to see where we are. Last rites. It's that moment, when a person's about to die and the priest comes in and gives them their last rites. Those last moments that that they are you're about to check out. And our freedoms are about to check out, folks. Our liberties are about to check out. When I sit here and I show you this graphic about the last rights over our Constitution, make no mistake, this is exactly what's happening. They are attacking our First Amendment speech, right? Our First Amendment right now. They've been trying to attack, and they've outdatedly stated that they're going to. They unabashedly stated that they're going to go after our Second Amendment rights, and even right now, what you do in your home. I mean, to think about this, and you think about this. The media went out of its way mocking anyone who was a Karen. You know those white people who were afraid of black people, and they reported something that was going on. You remember that? You remember when they did that and they made fun of all those Karens? Now we have governors who are soliciting the help of Karens who will sit there and look into the homes of people to see how many people are having over for Thanksgiving. Now, one of the things that many of you may think that you want to do is you may want to just have dinner with your curtains wide open. And I think that, you know what, it's your bold statement that I'm going to send a message that I will not tolerate this. Now, if that's your choice of what you want to do, enjoy. I just say use discernment now because of the fact that those neighbors, the ones who you helped, even last week, that neighbor you shoveled their yard when they had that snow issue, or you changed that tire. Desperation and fear makes people do a whole lot of different things. In desperation and fear, I mean, think about this. Earlier this year, during the pandemic, during the beginning of this nightmare called COVID-19 and lockdowns, we saw people freaking out, going at the stores like it was an everyday hurricane. Now we're back to the things where you can't find toilet paper anymore. You can't find toilet paper or anything that matters, because of the fact that we have put ourselves in a position where we're living in fear. We didn't prep, we didn't plan, we didn't put things aside just for rainy days. Like savings, just having money for worst case scenarios. No, we don't do that. We just decide to live in fear, and we just shoot from the hip and decide that, this is when we'll go out and we'll get what we need. Tim is talking about don't get caught praying and thanking God. Yep. I'll go to that one in a second. Okay. So here's a good one, because, as I sit here telling you about, let's go into that one for a second here. So Tim reminds me of when he says, don't go praying. He says, don't go praying because of the fact that it reminds me of the story of Daniel. Who was, and I think I talked about this yesterday, about the whole idea of the lion's den and being thrown in the lion's den because he prayed towards the east, and there were people who were intentionally going after him and trying to see exactly what he was doing and make certain that we're gonna prevent him. We're gonna report him for choosing to actually do something so evil as pray to another god, even when we made an edict that he shouldn't be doing this. It's interesting. I mean, think about this. Everybody thinks it's a funny situation here. Everybody thinks that this is something hilarious that we joke about in reference to how bad this is going to be. But many people don't seem to understand. You know what? They're going to go out of their way. They're going to go out of their way to make certain that they take away your rights, that they take away your freedoms. And you're going to sit here and think that, oh, well, there's nothing to worry about. It's perfectly fine. Look at the laws that they're going to create. They're going to create all these different laws to make what you do illegal. Think about this. New York turned around and they decided that New York decided that they wanted to make magazine restrictions. So what was it? You couldn't have more than 7 or 10 rounds in a magazine. Anything above that was against the law. I mean, literally, who sits there and thinks about this? Communists. But there's more. Actually, this is good news for those of you who listen to Mojo 50 Radio. One of the listeners, one of the people who leave a comment on here, and I'm glad he did, Peter Seraphin, he is part of, the Mojo 50 Radio lineup of amazing hosts. And he said that he is the Liberty Lighthouse is starting a series. This is what he said here, so you can see it. Liberty Lighthouse is starting a series on understanding the U.S. Constitution this week. Yesterday, when I sat there talking about we need to understand our rights, we're going to be losing our rights. Today I talk about we're going to be our last rights. This is your chance. Listen to Peter Seraphin as he sits there laying out for you. If you have never spent the time understanding the Constitution, here is your chance. Here is your chance. Yes, Gary, humor is the only way to get through this. Humor is the only way to get through this because the fact that things are going to get worse. People are living in fear. And when I say don't get caught, I'm saying that right now, COVID-19, it's shown a side of people that we've never seen before. There are people that I've met over the years that I really, really appreciate because of the fact that, you know what, they're consistently consistent to who they are. And I appreciate every last minute for them. And for me, as I sit here watching, taking a seat back and I'm watching everything unfold, I'm like, wow, okay. So this is what it looks like. This is what this nonsense looks like in the event of there being hard times, struggling times, and how far people will go to contradict their character, to devalue their integrity, or show that they have no integrity at all. And they'll do some heinous things, some heinous crimes. What was it last week? I think it was last week on the Daily Mojo. I was listening to this that they showed. Or was it Monday? I heard them. The Daily Mojo comes on Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they were playing the audio of a person in Germany protesting, and they busting into his door, busting into his home. I mean, you literally would think that he had 1,700 tons, 17 metric tons of explosives ready to blow Germany off the map. The way that they were beating down the door. This is coming to a city near you. Thankful to liberal progressivism. Yesterday when I talked about making everything safe again, this is what it's going to be like. Folks, I want to go, folks, this is the Great Reset. No, I think, because see, the Great Reset requires there being a button that you can press, that red button, that they make it difficult to get around. No. They're breaking the machine. The leg is broken. The legs are broken. The screens and most of the knobs are broken. They've basically cut off power. And there's a siege on the machine. There's a siege on America right now. There is no reset. We are looking at a modern day siege from within America by liberal progressivism and communism. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. Let's go to a break and we'll talk more about last rights on the flip side.
This election will be vital to the health and sustainability of our country. Our role from this day on could steer the election in either direction. Why? The way we treat one another. In John 13:35, Jesus says, "By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." We know that every election cycle brings out the worst in us. If there was ever a point for honesty, it is in how we act during election season. As much as we would want our candidate to win, attacking a person with contrary opinions only makes them determined to reject our point of view all the more. It may come off as ignorant from them, but we cannot claim innocence if we allow arrogance and disrespect to be the means in which we communicate with those who support the other party or other candidates. Our goal was and will never be to convert voters. Our role is to give them the information needed prior to them casting their vote. It is their choice and right of what they do with that information. Understand, more people are aware of the political corruption and hypocrisy than they wish or want to admit. So there's nothing for us to prove. Choose to be people who invoke change rather than people who irritate and strain. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." In other words, give people the room to make their own mistakes. Without seeing that they were wrong, they would be blind to see what is right. Remember, every soldier present and gone have fought for the right of every American citizen to vote their own conscience. To insult and ridicule people for exercising their liberty to vote for their candidate is to also desecrate the efforts, memories, and sacrifices made by our heroes for said liberty. Please, show respect. Our nation depends on it. Welcome back, everyone. This is Watson Prunier, your host of Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio, and I'm glad for every last one of you who decided to contribute and be part of this program as we sit here talking about last rights. Thankful thoughts. I want y'all to think about the things that we're so grateful for and to be happy and have these great moments. And maybe you can't recall them because you're just so stressed out because 2020 has just been a rock solid, crazy year for you. But I recommend New Life Holistic. Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom had sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic. New Life Holistic. Folks, this is the direction that you want to go because we're going to do the best we can to get our minds wrapped around the insanity that's about to affect us. You might want to be reaching out to Anthony a whole lot more because you're going to need a whole lot of therapy to recover from what's going to be hitting America in the next weeks, months, years, and decades because of 2020. And it's not because of the virus. It's not because of the lockdown. It's because of the elections and the fraud and the circumvention of integrity that took place during this election process and the silence. See, here's the thing about it. There's a lot of people who are silent because they believe, well, I didn't participate in the sin. So, because I didn't commit the sin, I'm safe. But God's saying there's also the sin of omission that you need to be worried about. Not just the sin of commission, the sin of omission, where you basically trying to act like it never happened in the first place. Well, folks, it's happening, and it's happening now. Here's something that was interesting, and you were to talk about losing our rights, our last rights, and thankful thoughts. Check this one out. I found this one interesting.
First round of U.S. lockdown cost $169 billion and saved 29,000 lives, about 6 million for each death that was avoided, study finds. And the study looked at the cost of government-ordered shutdowns from March to May, found that the lockdown saved 29,000 lives and a total and cost of $169 billion. Costs included job losses and declines in companies' market value. Study comes as state-imposed new restrictions and virus surges. Here's the thing about it. It's not virus death surges. It's virus, basically, that you actually have the virus. Even though that 99.997654 pi r square people survive this thing, where new cases of the existence of it does not mean new deaths as an existence, of this thing here. And remember, I'm still trying to figure out how is it that we are 9 months after the declaration of this pandemic, and we were told by Dr. Fauci for 18 months we would not have a solution. We would not have a vaccine. And now all of a sudden, the vaccine's ready to rock and roll. The president's been trying to push it out, make it happen as fast as possible. But hey, we're going to make this thing happen. We're going to do this. We're going to have fun sharing this thing out, sharing the love, spreading the love mandatorily. But yeah, we'll make certain that everyone gets their shot. But only $169 billion and 29,000 lives were saved. Isn't that still woefully under the 2.5 million people that Fauci told the president that we would lose? Even 250,000 lives are lost are still a horrible thing. But now everybody's sitting here, 250,000 lives lost, 250,000 lives lost. And so many ignorant people are mad with the president that 250,000 lives were lost, but you never got angry. See, and this is how is 250,000 a bad number? When we had how many thousands of people lost their lives because of the previous viruses under Obama's administration? But Obama wasn't blamed for this. He wasn't blamed about shutting the things down or preventing people from the spread and everything like that. But for some strange reason, we're holding this number over Trump's head, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, last rites, thankful thoughts. I literally want to get back to a thankful thought. If you want to know what I'm thankful for the fact that there was a point in time in America when people could count, and also people could be consistent. There wasn't this utter hypocrisy. Lord Jesus, please forgive us. We have increased testing, which is why we have increased numbers. It is a numbers game. Yeah. Yeah, I actually want to get back to a point, Tim, where we actually were sorry about abortion. I want to get back to a point when we were sorry for sex trafficking and human trafficking. I want to get back to a point when we were actually sorry for adultery. I want to get back to a point where we were sorry for breaking our vows or walking away from our marriages. I want to get back to a time when it was actually commonplace to shun a person who wanted to actively engage, whether it was mentally, physically, or now electronically with another person's spouse, with a spouse of another relationship. And yes, Tim, the testing is faulty. I have my theories on what this stuff is, but I don't want. I know that they'll start censoring anything because they're taking names. They're making their list, seeing who's naughty or nice. It's not Santa Claus who's coming to town. It's Satan in the form of liberal progressivism and the Joe Biden administration. And those of you who don't think that this is what's going to be happening, I just pray that you will be ready for the worst case scenario. Speaking of worst case scenario, have you heard of USCCA.com? USCCA.com/Mojo50. Another one of our sponsors are going to help you out of that legal bind when you just can't keep your trap shut. And you want to appreciate your You want to appreciate your rights, and while we still can enjoy the freedoms of the Constitution before it's completely stripped away, reach out to USCCA. I didn't even think about trying to rhyme that. That just came out that way. Yes, before your freedoms are stripped away, reach out to USCCA. .com/mojo50. Listen, it's gonna be really crazy. Raquel says she's naughty because she's a jackhole and she has a t-shirt for that in room 13. Listen, understand this. I think if you express any thought that is contrary to the mandated thought from the Reichstag, and if you really want to hear great German accents and dictations, you need to listen to the Daily Mojo when Brad Staggs goes into full-on German mode, bringing down the rule of the Third Reich. It is. I laugh, I cry every time because I thought my Arnold Schwarzenegger voice was good. No, Brad Staggs, he really kills it when he goes German. So listen, if you haven't had a chance, listen to Brad Staggs, trust me. Now, I know Raquel, she probably wants to hear something along the lines of
Watson!
But you know what?
It's Watson!
Yeah, it's even better than that. Interesting. Carolyn says that her daughter tested negative but had the COVID. Interesting. See, yes, so we don't have consistency on this, and praying, that she continues to heal from this. I mean, if you think about this, with everything that's going on here, the attack on our freedoms, and it's really sad because I think that there could be some serious healing, and there could be serious growth in this country if there wasn't this militant desire to strip away our rights. Lep is basically saying those days of which I speak were back in the late 50s and 60s. I wasn't even born yet, but I miss those days. Here's another, you know what? Here's another thing I'm thankful for, on Thankful Thoughts. I'm thankful for I'm thankful for every person that served. Okay, what was it? 2 weeks ago we celebrated Veterans Day, or last week we celebrated Veterans Day. And we had to deal with, I remember when we could appreciate those who served, and they did so honorably. They did so even after they left office. Not so with Mad Dog Mattis, because this is a sad story again. Furious Donald Trump lashes out at Jim Mattis for saying America First needs to be ditched from national security policy, and says I should have fired him sooner, even though the Marine quit first. See, this is very interesting that Mad Dog Mattis, who served, and his purpose was to defend the Constitution of the United States of America, would basically say an America First policy needs to be removed. And he served. What the U.S. Constitution means America First. Defending the Constitution, following and abiding and enforcing, executing the U.S. Constitution is an America First policy. Hence our last rights. Hence the idea of throwing away our rights because of the fact that we're not going to keep these things anymore. That these people have turned our country into a poop hole. That we are now looking at tyranny at levels you never imagined. See, as the U.S. Constitution has been riddled with so much rewrites and reconfigurations and reinterpretations and everything going on, we're lost in a legal and judicial quandary trying to figure out exactly how are we going to come back to a land of the free, a home of the brave, and a life of those who have integrity. Mad Dog Mattis is not one of them. It's very sad that we sit here and we look at this. Mad Dog Mattis is not among the ones that we can say we appreciate. We are in for a whirlwind. We're about to reap the whirlwind, the justice, the judgment that is due New York, California, Indianapolis, the United States of America. It's on its way because people have forsaken their first love. That is the God who gave them this land to be free. And this is very sad. And this is heartbreaking. See, now, you're going to celebrate today. Like I said, if you have to do it a day earlier, if today you're listening to this and this is Thanksgiving, I want you to really start appreciating those last rights that you have. Some of those things that you are so happy to celebrate. I mean, think about this. The flag has become offensive in many places. You can't even, there's certain places you can't even have an American flag. You can't even have a flag on your shirt. It's really weird that there are kids who are allowed to wear Barack Obama shirts to school to read. What was his slogan? Forward was Hillary's, but Barack Obama, hope and change. Kids were allowed to wear those to school, but MAGA, that would, oh no. It speaks hatred. Make America Great Again spoke hatred, but the hope and change. This is what we want. When I look at some of the stuff that my kids go through in the videos, the training instructional videos that our kids have, they have videos of Barack Obama in these training videos for the kids, talking about policies and presidents and things like that. Not like we haven't had 4 years of an American president who's not black. So, understand this and be thankful. As you sit and you enjoy and you feast upon, as you feast upon the tryptophan and you allow it to consume your soul, as you look into the different stuffings and dressings, and I know some people who can't stand oyster dressings. You know what? Actually, I want to do a survey. If you like oyster dressing, say yes in the timeline or no. I want to do a survey of this because I'm going to share it with a friend of how many of you like oyster dressing for Thanksgiving. I'm just really intrigued by that. Just a personal thing that I want to just try and see and understand. But as we sit here and you think about this, tomorrow may be the last chance. Tomorrow may be the last chance for us to enjoy the our Thanksgiving. Someone said that if you think Thanksgiving's bad, yeah, I think it was Dan Adams. He said if you thought Thanksgiving's bad, wait till you see what's going to happen on Christmas. I mean, if they're going to lock us down now, if they're going to prevent us now from Thanksgiving, can you imagine how Christmas is going to look like? Well, you don't think it's going to happen? I mean, remember, they're telling people you can't have any people over for Thanksgiving, or if you do it, you have to do it outside. And oh my goodness, this is really interesting. Folks, if you don't think this is something to be concerned about, keep your head in the sand. Keep your head in the sand. Lord Jesus, please help us. So, for those of you who are traveling, I'm going to ask you to be safe as you travel to wherever you're going to go. Where you're going to be part of that group of maybe 3 people or less for an event, yes, have fun in those. Don't stress yourself out, because 3 people are enough. Having three people at your thing here will be just enough. Where is that? Okay, there it is. Having three people at your dinner. That's just how. And when you take those pictures, make sure you are taking pictures of the three people in your homes as you celebrate Thanksgiving. Now, if you feel the need to post it, make sure you post the pictures of the three people and the various times. Don't put the timestamp. Get rid of that timestamp off of your camera if you're still operating on those older cameras. But make sure that you are not. Carolyn even is going to have three for herself too. I see Carolyn's going to have three people at her home for Thanksgiving, and it's really good. I'm glad that you can enjoy this and you can have a great time. Again, I don't like saying bigger numbers, because saying bigger numbers means that some people who are actually just watching this right now are probably going to start reporting you right now, and they'll probably do the best that they can. The Karens. We've been waiting for Sidney Powell to release the Kraken. Guess what? The Democrat liberal progressive arm of our government has released the Karens. Release the Karens, because of the fact that a lot of people will be spying. When we thought it was really bad earlier this year of people reporting you if you did not have a mask on, praying for you that you have a great time, that you can meet some friends, that you can have a Thanksgiving dinner with Sarah. But you know what? You're not alone, because if you know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, you're not alone. You can have a party of four, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Make no mistake, they are with you if you've put your trust in them. And there is no fear on what life may look like. So for those of you who may feel alone, you're not alone. For those of you who feel like you've been abandoned, you're not abandoned. God has been with you since the beginning of time. Now, we are the ones who maybe will flee away from him because of our disobedience and our unrepentant spirit, but God has never left us alone. I'm praying the Karens and Beckys. That's right. That's who's going to be. Who's going to be. Release the Karens. Release the Beckys. Yes, Carolyn, you have an awesome Thanksgiving. Be safe, because of the fact that we appreciate you being here and being part of the program. Every last one of you. Seriously, I want you to really take a look at this. Every last moment of this year. Thankful thoughts. Normally Thanksgiving is Thursday, not Thanksgiving, but November is used as a month of offering Thanksgiving. I think we need to have thankful thoughts for the rest of the year. Get those photo albums out. Get extra hard drives that you can back up your images and things like that, because of the fact that you need to start backing up these things, and you can return to these things, return to these images, these moments, these memories that will make so much of a blessing to you when life is going to be worse than you ever could imagine before. Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate you on that. I appreciate you listening in. And also, Mitchell's correct. This generation fears death. You can only fear death if you can only fear death. You can only fear that final outcome that every last one of us face. See, this is the thing about it that's so sad. I get back to this whole idea that people are so fearful of COVID. People are so fearful of this right now. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, the masks won't prevent you from dying. And the people who die, they were meant to die. And this... Sometimes some deaths are horrific, some deaths are really sad, some deaths are unfortunate, but death is a natural part of life. It's unfortunate. Listen, there are some of you that right now, you still have both your parents. There are some of you, like me, who still has one of your parents. There are some out there who have zero parents. I was 17 years old when I lost my mother. I was in my senior year of high school, and I lost my mother. She's been gone almost 32 years now. Be thankful if you still have your mom. Be thankful if you still have your father. Be thankful if you have people in your lives that others would die to have in their lives right now. Every moment, because we're going to get to a point where you won't even be able to see the people that you really appreciate. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting, folks. I'm asking you, get out those notepads, get out. I mean, literally, get out photo albums, get out whatever you need to do, scrapbooks, and get ready to start taking a good picture of what life was like and what freedoms still looked like. And again, in the midst of this time, in the midst of this shutdown, what did you learn in the first phase of the shutdown? What did you learn in the first phase of the lockdown? What things did you learn that you have to get rid of, that you have to jettison? What things do you have to change in your life? Because literally, this is so earlier it was said the Great Reset. Well, there is a partial reset in our lives that we have another opportunity. We have another chance to pursue those things that matter most in our lives. I'm asking you, what are those things? See, you remember, there are these things that you were thankful for having, that things that, you know what, you may lose. We have a dear friend who's near the end of her life right now. Has played a critical part in our lives and the life of my wife for more than 2 decades. This is a good friend of my wife, and my kids adore her, and she's about to transition. She's about to get the upgrade plan and be in heaven with her Savior. I have friends who have gone through the same exact process where their family members have gotten the upgrade plan to be with their Savior. Take these last moments, these last opportunities. Don't throw them away. Do your best to show your appreciation and your thankfulness. I usually end off the idea of this program with the attitude of gratitude. It's not just for me. It's for every last one of you. I want you to find your attitude of gratitude. I want you don't have to post it with me, but I want you to share the things that you're grateful for. Don Mead is basically saying, you sound like we should concede over the holiday mandates. We have a right to civil disobedience. If we don't take a stand now, then Heil Hitler. You know what? I'm not saying conceding. But a lot of people want to fight right now, and they don't know what they're fighting. A lot of people want to protest. I mean, many of you. Oh, it's a badge of honor to be banned by Facebook. Really? A badge? To basically be shut down by social media? This is what constitutes success in our life, being banned. When again, it's being a victim. It's being a martyr. For what? Move on to another avenue, because right now there's nothing. All this posturing where the Senate is interrogating the likes of Facebook, YouTube, and Google and Twitter. It's posturing. It's not going to change anything. The Reichstag is here. The Third Reich, the Fourth Reich, the Fifth Reich is here in the form of liberal progressivism and woke theology. What are you going to change? People still getting censored on Facebook. What are you going to change? Civil disobedience, it does nothing. The only thing that civil disobedience does is it puts you in jail, because the people who are actually the wrong civil disobedient individuals are still roaming the streets. I've watched American citizens, law-abiding American citizens, being put in jail. There's a family down in New Mexico who were framed by the U.S. government. They were framed by the U.S. government. Everything was taken away from them. Their rights, their liberties, their freedoms were stolen from them. Their own belongings were stolen, and they could never be recovered, and they had millions and millions of dollars of legal fees. Some of them were in prison for 2-3 years. And what has it changed? What has changed as a result of that? Yeah, be civilly disobedient. And then charge into a battle with no one there to support you, with no government to support you, with no freedom fighters to support you. Remember this. You could be angry, but if you're going to do this charge, do it alone. Do it alone. I protest a lot of the different things that are going on right now, but but if you were doing the civil disobedience for the wrong reason because you don't even have a clue what you're fighting, I'm not saying that's you, Dawn, but there are a lot of people who are instigating civil disobedience, and they're doing it for the wrong reason. Wow. Last rites, folks. Have your thankful thoughts now. Brad Staggs and Daily Mojo's up next. I'm your host, Watson Prunier, saying happy Thanksgiving and happy Thanksgiving. I'm out.